We take another bird's eye view at some Rhode Islanders who don't use guns when stalking game in the woods. Their weapons have keen vision, curved beaks, and sharp talons. Tonight, we meet falconers, and they're hunters of the sky.
Working with these birds and hunting with them, you're truly one with nature. You're really interacting with them, and it's hands-on. You know, it's not something that you're observing. You're a part of it.
Jim Gwazinski of Westerly has been part of the sport of hunting with birds of prey for 27 years. He is a master falconer, currently training this raptor.
The aesthetics of it are extremely invigorating. I think that, you know, the bond that you share with these birds is pretty magnificent. They're not pets. The sport itself, I mean, where it brings you are some beautiful places, some beautiful habitat.
It takes place in open fields and country woodlands during a season that runs from October to February. Falconry, or hawking, is training raptors to hunt game with you. Witnessing their majestic flight, you understand why it was crowned the sport of kings. Its origins date back centuries to the Middle East, eventually migrating to medieval Europe, especially with royalty. It remained popular until the introduction of guns. Today, falconry is a specialized sport, according to Gwazinski, similar to fly fishing.
There is an art to it, to falconry, and there is a finesse to it in the sense of setting the hunt up and, you know, almost trying to muscle the hunt, if you will, or control it as much as you can.
Originally, what was the object of falconry?
It was, point in fact, who put food on the table, especially prior to the invention of firearms.
What about today?
The same. I'll be the first to admit I've eaten rabbit, I've eaten squirrel.
You've eaten rabbit and squirrel?
I have. I actually prefer squirrel to
because?
Rabbit. The taste, and yeah, you know, rabbit, you know, they tend to, they'll have a few fleas and ticks on them here and there, so.
So you can't be squeamish to participate in this sport?
You can't, and no, you can't. I mean, it is a hunting sport.
It all begins by capturing the bird of prey. Gwazinski says he either has to climb to a nest to get a hatchling or catch an immature bird in a special net. You understand that there are going to be people who find this objectionable, that you're taking hatchlings from the nest or, you know, trapping a wild bird. How do you answer that?
I say that, sure, you know, I can get that point of view. I think if they understood the amount of time and energy and enthusiasm but care that we have for these birds, about 75 to 80% do not make it through their first year. So as falconers, we're allowed to trap these immature raptors and we leave the actual mature birds alone. So you see yourselves as conservationists? I do. It was truly falconers that had a lot to do with the thrust and the push to get peregrine falcons off the endangered species list. According to Gwazinski, peregrine falcons are now nesting under several bridges in Rhode Island and atop the Superman building in downtown Providence, where they can be watched with their brood on a webcam. Easy. This creature is the first peregrine falcon the state has allowed to be captured. She's considered the most prized of hunting birds. Other raptors are also used for hunting, such as this kestrel, the smallest of falcons. Also merlins, goshawks, Cooper's hawks, and especially red-tailed hawks. Stephen Wood is training a red-tailed hawk. He had to apprentice for 2 years, then pass a field test. After 5 years as a general, he can apply to be a master falconer. There are federal requirements, and Rhode Island Environmental Management regulates hawking, overseeing licensing. Gwazinski says the sport is a commitment year-round. It goes beyond a hobby. It's a passion. It really is a lifestyle. There's a lot that goes into it. You know, these birds are cared for every day. It's not a passing fancy, and it's certainly something that you just can't, you know, put on a shelf and forget about. Gwazinski says training begins with food-based reward and getting the predator to eat from your hand. And as you're doing this, you're trying to establish a trust with the bird. And then what you do is you'll put the bird on a perch, say a few feet away, and you start to incorporate the whistle. And you whistle and get the bird to jump, you know, take a little bit of a flight at you. They land on the glove, you give them the tidbit, you put him back, and then you walk further away. And essentially you're getting the bird to fly to you farther and farther away.
The whistle calls the bird back to the hunter. In training, they do this on a leash called a creance. Then a leather lure is introduced. This is another means of enticing the bird's return while hunting in the field. When the raptors are released to nearby trees, falconers go into the woods, literally beating the bushes with sticks to get their quarry to move. And if an animal is spotted, say a rabbit, the hunter gives a distinct call to alert the bird to their prey.
Their visual acuity is phenomenal. What they're starting to do is they make the connection between, something going, something running, and the falconer. If quarry actually does, come out of a briar patch or squirrel out of a dray, or it's running a tree line, the bird will actually key in on that game call, if you will. We are more or less the beagle. We're the ones that are pushing the quarry for these birds.
Gwazinski says most of the kill taken in the hunt is preserved as future feed for the falcons. After all this training, most of these birds of prey will be released back to the wild after just a few seasons. Hunters say they are borrowed. For Gwazinski and a handful of other falconers in Rhode Island, a day spent with their sky hunters defies description.
The world tends to, melt away. So it's truly a great escape. You're so focused on the bird, you're no longer focused on yourself or the trials and tribulations, that can inundate us, from day to day. Sometimes you just can't put it in words. As well as just say, hey, it's what I love to do.